Today was the day that my faith in society was severely damaged, and by the end of this video, if your faith in society hasn't been damaged as well, I'm highly concerned for you. Let's get into it. A Philadelphia woman about 2 weeks ago was on the train when she was sexually assaulted and then raped. Now, what makes this case particularly heinous and the most upsetting is that this didn't happen out of anybody's sight. This happened in front of other passengers. Nobody did anything, and a couple of the passengers brought their phones out and started recording what was happening to this woman. The superintendent of the Upper Darby Township Police Department had this to say: "I'm appalled by those who did nothing to help this woman. Anybody that was on that train has to look at themselves in the mirror and ask why they didn't intervene or why they didn't do something." It was reported that there were several passengers on that train car, and although there weren't dozens of people, there were certainly enough that collectively they could have done something. You know, whether we want to acknowledge it or not in the men's rights community, it is a very dangerous world for women out there. Because, in my opinion, I think that we should be looking at stories like this and maybe understanding why there are so many women that are just shit terrified of men, possibly hate them, and think that every man out there is gonna hurt them. And you can sit there and say, oh, not all men, but to every little girl who read that news story, especially the ones who live in Philadelphia, that is not their mindset. Because you know what? A woman was sexually assaulted and nobody did anything. I couldn't even imagine being that woman, because the hatred that I would have for this world coming out of that situation, not only being violated in such a heinous way, but having people watch and record this happening to me, I think I would burn down my whole city. So if you're the type of guy to walk around and be like, women are just so dramatic and it's not scary for them at all, I want you to remind yourself of cases like this, of stories like this, where somebody felt emboldened enough to sexually assault a woman and rape her on a train while nobody did anything. And you know what? It's not just the passengers on the train that failed that woman. It was a judge in the previous case of that man who sexually assaulted her that failed her as well. The man who sexually assaulted this woman is originally from the Congo and was supposed to be sent back there after he was seen in trial for a sex crime that a judge didn't seem to be heinous enough to kick him out of the country. What did he do next? Raped a woman on the train. Genuinely, I hope that every single person who not only watched this happen to this girl, but especially the people who recorded, I hope that the exact same thing happens to them. And I would never wish something so heinous upon somebody, but if you're gonna sit there and watch it happen to someone else, you deserve it. It is still a very dangerous world for women out there, and we're not gonna sit here in the men's rights community and be naive to that. Thanks. I would also just like to share with you guys another woman who covered this topic. I think she did an amazing, articulate job of it. I'm incredibly frustrated and just disgusted at this moment, so I'm having a hard time articulating things intelligently rather than out of frustration. But I just think that she does a fantastic job. So here's her video, and I have linked her account in the description and the original video.
Watch what happened last Wednesday.
A woman passenger was raped on the Market Frankfurt Ale.
A woman was raped on the train in front of other people, and they did nothing.
Arresting officer who did not want to be identified tells Action News he pulled Nagoy off the victim while passengers sat idly watching the lawlessness.
This predator followed this woman into the train at 9:15 and harassed her for 45 minutes in front of other people until he groped her and ripped off her pants. And they did nothing. Oh, actually, they did do something.
There were people witnessing the act with phones in their hands.
They were filming it. So if anybody sees any of these videos that they post, be sure to tag me and be sure to expose them. Those people on that train are fucking cowards. And I can guarantee that some of them were men, but not all men, right? You didn't actually do the rape. And if there were women on that train that didn't say or do anything, you were disgusting.
The man that raped the woman on the Philadelphia train in front of a lot of people who did nothing had been arrested for sexual abuse before in 2017. He was supposed to be kicked out of the country because he's from Congo, but a judge decided his previous sexual abuse was not a serious crime.
So many people have been wanting me to talk about this situation, and as I've sat and gathered more information, somebody's daughter was doomed. I mean, it was bound to happen, because for one, for a judge to allow this man to roam free. No kind of repercussions for what he's done in the past to other people, just roaming free. Then on top of that, the fact that he harassed this woman for almost an hour. And the thing is, I could understand you see something horrendous and you don't know how to respond to it. But for almost an hour, he harassed her. And then when he actually started doing the horrific act that he did, people just recorded. So you were able to pull out your phone and record, but not stop anything, not call 911, because to the last of my knowledge, it was one of the workers on the train that it called 911. So what are we really doing here? As humans, what are we doing? What's going on? That woman was doomed before she even knew it. She was doomed before she was stalked by him. She was doomed before she was harassed by him. And she was doomed before she was raped by him. And she was doomed by people there in the present and people before all of this was even happening. She was doomed by the judge. She was doomed by the justice system. And she was doomed by the people with her on that train. What are we supposed to do now? I'm not even surprised. I'm just disgusted. What is this? I'm not even understanding where we're going as humanity.